Hey, good fella. Yo. How you feeling tonight? Even when I fall. How y'all feeling tonight? Thank y'all for coming in. Tonight. Y'all know it's podcasting Monday. It's Life Be Life and Monday. Period. We got a new episode dropping tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube. And tonight's new episode is talking about patience is my virtue. I'm talking about patience and what I have recently shed some light on about my lack of patience in life and what I'm doing about it. So that's what I'm talking about on my new episode tonight, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube. That's episode number 14. And tonight on here, hey Sky Bear. Tonight on here, we will be recapping episode number 11, which was guest starred my cousin, who is a male. His name is Deontay Bankston, and our fathers are brothers. So we talked about our lives growing up without our fathers in the home. Hey Jen, how you feeling, love? And what that experience looked like for us. So if you haven't got a chance to check out that episode, it was really, really good. He's a male, obviously, I'm a female, and the showing the difference between what our takeaways were from not having our fathers in the home with us, and how that thank you, Tam, appreciate you, love, changed our lives essentially, and where we are today with our relationship with our fathers. Go ahead and check that episode out. But that's what we're talking about tonight. That episode is titled From the Mouths of Babes. Okay. And you hear from our perspective, our trauma, all of that stuff to where we are today. And if anyone has a similar story, even if it's not your personal story, if it's something that you know your kids are currently going through or have been through as a primary parent, or if you yourself has been through it, you are more than welcome to come up and share your stories or your takeaways or how you feel about that. Obviously, I had a bunch of questions for Deontay, and I also broke down what potentially could be some things that happens with children of single mothers and stuff like that. So, hey Jen, why are there only 18 likes? Girl, I don't know. I am wonderful, Jen. I feel like I got a slight little headache. I feel like I'm coming down from my high from today. I've been on I don't know, really. Sorry, PTSD from the AM. You're funny, Jen. You're funny. Not PTSD. I can't. You taking Justin's role, screaming about the likes. Thank you, Tim. Hey, Mark Mad Davis. How you feeling tonight? Thank you, Tim. Thank you. She's like, nope. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the FYPs. Thank you guys for everything. I appreciate you. We are talking about essentially childhood trauma. Trigger warning, trigger warning. I don't know. From growing up with like potentially a single parent. And even if you had two parents in a household, it still could have been kind of like a single parent type thing if you really like, I don't know. I'm interested to know like what was your takeaway? Did you see your mom doing more or your dad doing more of the rearing of the children and being present? You know, a lot of previous generations thought that like I'm just providing financially and that's enough. Like they don't have to really do much else and everything is left on another partner. And so like what does that look like? What did that feel like? Or if you did have a healthy environment at home with two parents, y'all can tell that story too. Let's talk about it. It's about what our childhood homes look like and what was your takeaways or your major takeaways from those experiences. Okay? Boxes are open. I need y'all engagement tonight because I've talked enough on this episode. And y'all know I can talk. But yeah, come talk to me. Talk to me. So yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sky. Appreciate you for the emotes. It's still loading. Hey Tim.
Hey, Tasha. Hey, y'all.
What say ye, Tim? What say ye?
I said, let me come up here because my girl said she didn't talk too daggone much. So,
right?
baby, this is the ongoing saga, this childhood that we are trying to recover from.
I know, right?
But so for me, you know, I was raised in a single. Well, I wasn't always raised in a single parent household. Once upon a time, my dad was there. And before he became addicted to drugs, he was an amazing father and husband. He did it all. He did our hair. He cooked dinner. He was a wonderful chef. He was very attentive. My mother says that he was an amazing husband. And then those drugs got a hold of him and changed his life.
Yeah.
And after that, you know, I was raised in a single parent household and my mom was struggling
Yeah.
to raise us. Like it was hard for her. And I still don't know if she ever recovered from it. She probably just glad we damn gone.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard. I can
The
empathize with her.
oldest child ends up becoming a co-parent in a sense. You're responsible for everything. And so that was also a lot of pressure. So while she had pressures, I had pressures. I became her broke best friend and the eyes and ears of everything in the household when she was away. So it's a single parent household can be a lot. So do know you're doing an amazing job because I know it's hard.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Yes, it's very difficult at times. Jen, what say ye?
So this is kind of weird because I can't remember anything up to about the age of 13. I can remember being with my grandma, but I don't remember really a lot about my mom. And my mom and dad, they split up, got a divorce when I was 13, I think it was, and she was there with me and my two brothers at the time. They're older than I am, and then we came home from school one day and she just wasn't there. Well, we didn't know what to do. I mean, we were just kind of like, you know, we didn't have cell phones, that kind of thing. And my brothers would literally go out and go hunting and get a deer, bring it home so that we could have, and they would have a little bit of money to get some rice or potatoes. And we ate deer and rice and potatoes all the time. And then the neighbor lady finally called my dad at work and said, "Hey, did you know your kids are there by themselves?"
Oh, wait.
Yes.
She
My
just
mom
left
had
you
left.
kids in the house
She did leave
by
us.
yourselves.
Yes.
Your father wasn't even aware.
He was not aware. Mm-mm.
Do you remember how long that was, Jen, that you guys were alone?
Yeah, that period.
It was probably I mean it seemed like it was much longer, but my brothers were trying their best to, make sure that I went to school and we just kind of maintained things the way. I mean, it wasn't really long, but it seemed like a long time. It was probably like around a month or so before the neighbor lady finally, which now when I think about it, I think that's crazy because she was super nosy too. So I'm surprised she didn't call him before,
Yeah.
especially noticing that my mom wasn't there. So um, at that point, my older brother left because him and my dad just they butt heads, and so it was me and the middle brother, and my dad did the best he could. I I mean, he was always strict, which was fine, but
Mhm.
I mean, he did the best he could too. We didn't have a whole lot, but he did. He just when he came up to see us, it was just kind of weird because he's like, "Where's your mom?" And we said, "I have no idea," And he said, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go back down to my apartment. I'm gonna get my stuff, and I'm gonna come up here, and I'll be here with you. And if a judge has a problem with that, I guess we'll deal with that when the time comes."
Wow.
And I don't know why, but I have never been able to get to why I don't remember. I mean, I remember family things. I remember things with my dad. I don't remember things with my mom a lot. So, and
Wow. And you guys never reconnected?
no, we did. When my mom came back, my mom had never drank. And then with this person she was with, he was a drinker and she became a really bad drinker. And I mean, I went through a lot living with them because at a certain point, my dad had to move for job reasons, and I didn't want to leave because, at that point, I was in high school. And so at that point, my mom was like, "Sure, you can come stay with us," meaning her and her new person. And it was a lot
Yeah.
with her as a drinker. So it was a lot. And she kicked me out when I was 17. So I was a senior in high school, and I went and I worked full time and paid my rent and went to school at the same time. That's just what I did.
Wow. 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 Okay, so I have some questions for you guys since you're up here. Thank you for sharing your story. But I got some further questions about your stories. So one of the questions, these are some questions I asked throughout the episode. Who did you truly feel supported by with your situations?
I don't know that I did feel fully supported.
Mm, Jen?
Mine would definitely be my brother.
Okay.
Mine would definitely be my brother. Yeah. And he left to go into the Air Force, and I cried and cried because I was like, "Please don't leave me." But I knew he had to. So, yeah.
Were you the youngest, Jen?
Yeah.
Wow. And Tam was the oldest.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So another question I have is when did you realize that, or did you ever realize that having that one parent was affecting you? If
Um,
so, when?
I think I always knew because I was raised around other two parent households, right? So I always felt like their life looked a lot different than mine.
Hmm.
Um, I knew because my mother couldn't afford certain things. Shut the hell up, Sky. This is supposed to be a serious moment, Miss Ma'am. Why
She's
is
so
that
annoying.
grandmother down there looking? Oh, anyway, uh, but I knew my mother couldn't afford certain things, so
Mhm.
I mean, for me, I kind of always knew that us being a single parent household with three girls was affecting how life was.
Yeah. Quickly, before you answer, Jen, James asked, what's the topic? Today we are recapping episode number 11, which is From the Mouths of Babes, where me and my cousin, who share our fathers, our brothers, share our stories of growing up in single parent households and our fathers being semi and fully absent. And so, if you have a story to share and you would like to share about a similar experience with a one parent, or you are a child of separation, divorce, whatever, and the dynamic in your household change, or even if you do have two parents in the household, it still could have been a difficult situation, essentially. So that's what we're talking about. Jen, when did you realize that this was affecting you, if ever?
My dad did a great job, but I think obviously I knew right away that that was going to affect me because at 13, I mean, what teenage girl doesn't need her mom? So, and like I said, we didn't have cell phones, so it's not like I could just pick up and call her or text her or
Right.
something. So, um, I mean, I'm not taken away from my dad at all. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just didn't have. I mean, I had to go to my friends for a lot of support as far as those kinds of things went.
Yeah, yeah. James said my mom was single. I'm sorry. Some people came in. It was James and Blossom. Hey, James. Hey, Blossom. James said my mom was a single parent after my dad died when I was 18. Um, yeah. And I know how difficult that was for him. Sky, thank you for joining us.
Good
What
evening,
say ye?
host. Good evening, panel. Good evening, chat. Um, growing up was really hard. My mom was a single parent, um, and she wound up. I guess life just got so hard for her. She wound up turning to drugs, and we were homeless for years. And that was really, really rough. And then my grandparents took me in and got guardianship of me. And that was different because it was a two-parent household, but it was a whole different generation behind me. So they couldn't relate. So I didn't really have a support system. It wasn't until I got older that I realized, because of those situations and because I was such a loner, I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to work through my emotions and, really work through those and acknowledge them. So it's hard, even if you do have two people in the household, it's all about, the situation and how you go through it, to the point where now with my kids, I make sure that I'm always a listening ear, that they never feel alone in their situations, that they always have a listening ear to come to. So some of those things and traumas that happened in my life prepared me to be the parent that I am to my girls now. So I look at it as bittersweet, sometimes it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. I totally agree, which is why it's been extremely difficult for me to go into a relationship, let alone a marriage, with the ideal of someone being a father to my kids that I didn't really have. And then for us to have two girls and me being that wanting to be daddy's girl all of my life and not really fully getting that relationship that I desired, I like drilled that into him, that how important it is for a girl to have their father, right? And for him to then, more recently show up the way that he has, it's very disappointing. And it's like, man, I mean, that's why I'm over here playing Maddie, mommy and daddy, and trying to, you know what I'm saying, make up for those areas. But it is very hard. It is very hard to see my girls go through something similar like I did. Um, Goodfella said these shows are always tough to listen to. I know, Goodfella, but they can be very tough to listen to. Blossom agreed. But they are very necessary. We need space to talk and work through some things, or even just pique our interests. And maybe you weren't thinking about it, and maybe it wasn't a big deal to you, or whatever. Um, but it's good to kind of like hear other people's stories sometimes and kind of like help with our empathy towards one another. We never know nobody's story until they tell us, right? So I enjoy these moments, and this is what I live for. This is what fuels me. Healing, essentially. So it's a blessing. Hey, Lindsay, thank you so much. I appreciate you. How you doing this evening? Thank you, MPR Zell, for the follow. I appreciate you. James said our parents are the first relationship we ever have. Exactly, James. That relationship will impact us forever. Exactly. Exactly. Jen, were you saying something? I'm so sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go
I
ahead.
was going to say, talking about, of course, my kids are all grown up now, and I have always been really close, just like Sky is saying, I've always been really close with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, it's funny because I'm like, does anybody else have grown kids that like to go with their mom more places than my kids do? It's just funny to me. But when my kids were younger, though, because of my mom's drinking, I would have to keep my kids away from her from the standpoint of, I'm just trying to protect them. And that was really hard because, and I would tell her, hey,
Yeah.
what's really bad is that my kids love you. They like you. But I can't, for the safety of my kids, I can't trust to let them be with her. So, and I had a really close relationship with my grandma, but, unfortunately, my kids just, they understand now when we talk about it,
Experience.
but yeah, you just couldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that sucks. It's sad. Scott said the same thing I said. They can be, but it's always healing to know others have similar stories and emotions. Um, Thank you so much, Lindsay. Thank you so much, Sky, for the gifts. I appreciate you guys. I don't want to. I appreciate. Oh, hey, Keith. I almost missed you there. Wait, I missed a lot. What's going on? Hey, Blossom said we all have a story, and these conversations are needed for sure. Um, Agreed, Blossom. Hey, Keith, how you feeling this evening? Thank you so much for joining. James said I appreciate my mom even more since she is gone. I know, James. I know. I know. Um. Oh, okay. Yes, another time, James. Anybody got time? Lord Jesus. Messy, Bessie. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Good fella, thank you so much for joining. What say ye?
Well, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. Good evening, Tam. It's beautiful to see you as well. The reason why I say what I said is because, and please hear me and understand me. It's hard for me. It's hard to hear stories like this because as I was growing up, I didn't have stories like this. I didn't have stories like this. I grew up in a two-family home. My mother and father, they weren't drug dealers. They didn't do drugs. They didn't, they didn't have us homeless. There's a lot of stuff that didn't happen, and our family was almost considered. In our church, we were considered the Huxtables because everything that happened at my mom and dad's house. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but as I went through therapy, I used to question because I always felt bad when I got around people. It was like I was always around people that did not have my story, and I used to feel bad. I used to question why I was given a home like I was, and none of the people that I was around were. So it's like a lot of the things that people went through, I have no idea what that was like. I didn't know the different things, and it really didn't dawn on me till I became older and an adult that a lot of the things that I went through weren't for me because I was going to come in contact with a lot of people that did not have these stories, especially young men and whatnot. But even listening to it, even now, I ain't gonna lie, even now, a lot of times it's hard to hear, because it's like, why were some people given a different life, and other kids, none of you all asked to be in the situations you were in, none of you, and to know that those situations happen, it sucks. And even as an adult, I hate that being in situations like that, something couldn't change for stuff like that. And it's hard to adapt. So
Yeah.
sometimes, I sit back and just listen, and it's still tough, but you do what you have to do, and you continue praying like I do.
Yes,
Something
yes.
to that.
You said what?
I said, can I say something to that?
Yeah.
I just want to say that it may be tough to hear, but honestly, a lot of us have become who we are because of the stories, because of the scars. It makes us stronger. Unfortunately, it doesn't make everyone stronger, but at least we have the story. We know what we need to work on, and we can move forward. So I would say, in that sense, don't feel sorry for us, because a lot of the people that you are meeting right now are who they are because of the struggles that they've had in childhood and in life. So I know it's made me stronger. I don't have any regrets about my childhood, and I really don't want anyone feeling sorry for me. Would it have been nice to have more? Sure, but that's why I work hard today, so I can have what I want.
True, very very true. And in that, one of the things that I always enjoy listening to, even though sometimes it's hard to hear the beginning, I always love to hear the end, because even though I didn't go through certain things, when
Mm-hmm.
I talk to people that I know that have, I always relate to things that I have heard people talk about, how they come out of it, and what it took for them to get to where they are, even though it might be something different for somebody else.
Yeah,
It's always a way. If you have the mindset to want to come out of it, it's always a way to do it, and to be able to help someone uh meet those needs.
for sure, for sure. We all have our own journey to travel. Um, and God makes it that way for a reason. And we all have our own purpose, missions, whatever to fulfill. And it may look differently than somebody else's, but it's definitely with a great intent for your life at the end of it, like very purposeful. Um, Justin said his childhood was shit. Jen said, and you never know what goes on within the walls of people's homes. And that is so true. And that's why I said anybody that has a story of a two-parent household as well. I know of many of people that have had two-parent households, mama and daddy, always been in the house, and it's always been a fool. Always. So just because, we can easily look from the outside in and be like, oh my gosh, like you got both of them, and I even said in this episode that me and my brother, we both have different fathers. My brother is the oldest, I'm the youngest, and my brother's father was never a part of his life. Never. And it would be some animosity amongst, well, from him towards me, because at least I knew my brother had no connection with his father's family, nothing. At least I had my grandparents, my dad's parents were always in my life, always keeping up with me, coming to get me every weekend since I was a baby. And like, at least I knew who my father was. My father was around. He just wasn't in the home, and he didn't do the work to build a relationship with me, but I knew who he was. He got me stuff for my birthday and Christmas all the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? I saw him on a regular basis because he stayed with my grandparents. I saw him. You know what I'm saying? So, and him and my mom's relationship, and that's a whole nother thing that plays a part, right? Wasn't always peachy keen either. Um, but my brother used to say, at least you have a father. Like, I don't even have that, because I would still complain and be like, it's not enough. I wanted to have a relationship with my dad. I wanted to be daddy's little girl. I wanted, us to build, and he just didn't seem interested. And now having conversations with my father as an adult, and really him letting me into his mindset at that time, my father had a lot of mental things going on that wasn't really addressed from a child up. You know what I'm saying? But now I could empathize with that. At that time, as a child, I don't understand none of that. I don't understand none of that. I just want you. I want your presence. I want your attention. I want you. And that's what I try to get people to see today. Like, you may not have a bunch of money. You may not have, but you do have your time. That's the most valuable thing that we could give to our children is our time. Period. And we even sometimes drop the ball on that because we be so hyper focused on making it. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to, it's a lot of things in that. It's just a lot. It's a lot. Money is valueless if we really look at it. But I mean, time and the attention and all of that means so much more. So much more. Anybody else had anything to say before I ask the next question? Okay. Tell some of my story. Oh, Justin, you want to tell some of your story? What's happening? Okay. So the next question I had was, where did you turn with your questions and concerns about your situations? Did you ask anybody about it? Did you try to gain some type of clarity about why a parent wasn't around or what was going on exactly?
Had a discussion
Can
with
you,
our
can you,
parents.
oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I was going to ask.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. Repeat. What is the question?
Okay. Where did you turn when you had questions or concerns about your parent that was no longer in the picture or whatever was never in the picture? Where did you turn to when you had questions and concerns?
Well, for me, I didn't turn anywhere because I knew where he was in the street doing drugs. And so I didn't need to ask about that. When he got clean, he made it known that he was clean, and he started showing back up and being present. So showing back up Justin. And being present. So showing back up
Why I can't turn off your mic?
and being present.
It's not working.
He got a drop.
Hey, Mr. Reese, how you doing? Hey, Peasy, how you
Hey,
doing?
Mr. Reese.
Why I can't turn off just the mic? What's happening?
I don't know. Justin then took over. Yeah, so I personally didn't need to turn anywhere with questions because, I saw his downfall and I knew what he was doing. So I knew where he was. But when he got clean, he didn't stay in that way. He was like that for about 4 or 5 years. But when he got clean, he started coming back around and trying to make his presence known and being a part. So, he was not in the house anymore. But once he got clean, he started coming back around.
Yeah. Jen?
I would say the same thing. I didn't turn to anybody. I kept anything I had inside. And then as I got older and when I did reconnect with my mom, I would always ask her, like, just explain to me how did we get here, And she just always said you wouldn't understand, and I would say try me. And she never, to the day, she passed. I mean, she never was able to articulate to me. So yeah, I didn't turn to anybody either. I just kept all those things inside.
Wow. Sky, where did you turn with your questions and concerns about your absent parent or whatever?
Not whatever. Wait a minute. My situation sensitive too. Don't be whatevering it.
No. I wasn't whatevering you. I was reading stuff and like, okay, sorry, my bad. No,
Um,
where did you turn
so
to?
you know what? I didn't really have anyone to turn to. I always say we were all grieving at the same time. We were all going through the same stuff at the same time. So it really wasn't an outlet. I usually just turned to dance and music. I didn't really have any questions because I had lived a life with my mom for years that I already knew what it was. I mean, we've been in holding cells together from her shop and lifting. Like it was a lot. So I didn't have any questions. But I was so blessed because my mom, when she was locked up, the several times she wrote me letters. And I didn't get those letters until I turned about 36. And in those letters, I got to see her handwriting and feel what she was going through and see what she was going through and have her description. So my grandparents gave me the letters she wrote to them and also the letters she wrote to me. And it all opened up some question. I mean, opened up some answers for me, opened up a light for me. So I was blessed in that aspect. So whatever questions I did have, a lot were answered in those letters.
Yeah, that's dope. That was, man, she didn't even know what she was doing in that moment to give you that. But that's dope. Um, Justin, thank you for joining. What say ye?
Turned to well, I asked my mother where my father was. My father was never in my life, but it wasn't by choice. As some know, the day I was born is the day I lost my father. He was hit by 18-wheeler on the way to the hospital. And when I was old enough to find out exactly what happened, I gained knowledge on why certain things in my life happened the way it did. So yeah, I asked my mom. She told me it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you guys. We are recapping episode number 11 of the Life Be Life and Podcast season 2. Okay, it is titled From the Mouths of Babes. I have a guest on here, my little cousin. We share our fathers, our brothers. I don't know why I get tripped up every time. Our fathers are brothers. My dad was the oldest. His dad was the youngest of the bunch. And we tell our stories about how we grew up in a household with semi and completely absent fathers, and talked about how we turned out and where we are today with our relationships with them. And spoiler alert, we're both reconnected with our fathers and building our relationship daily. So thank God for that. But yeah. So another question I have for you all is why is what happened to you important to who you are today?
I think for me, it's made me independent and strong and sensitive and all the things. It taught me responsibility in a way that I know I needed, but I didn't know I needed it at the time. Um, and it's taught me how to love, to like really love unconditionally. And I say that with a grain of salt because I do believe that there are conditions on love, but I'm saying when you just love your family or whatever with your whole heart, it doesn't matter what they do, they still your family. You know, that kind of love is what I'm talking about. And so I had to be that way because child, I was always in trouble because them kids, them sisters of mine was doing what they wanted to do, and it was my responsibility to make sure they didn't.
Right.
But yeah, so I think it really gave me a strength that I didn't even know I needed.
Yeah. Jen?
With I agree with her. I feel like, I mean, I was quite the rowdy teenager, getting in trouble, that kind of thing, sneaking out, doing all the things. And then when I started having kids, I don't know. I don't think I told myself I'm not gonna be my mom, because there's good things about my mom.
Yeah.
But I knew I was going to protect him no matter what, and I feel like it really guided me in the way I parented my kids.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Sky, why is what happened to you important to who you are today?
Um, I think it was number one important to me to know she showed me all the things I didn't want to do. I didn't want to use drugs. I didn't want to be a bad mom. I didn't want to be a bad daughter. I wanted to follow through with my dreams. So little did she know that her suffering and her pain built me up to make sure that I didn't do certain things. Even to this day, I'm like, oh, well, let me not do that, because that doesn't look right. It also taught me how to really be a mother. Even though she wasn't the best mom, it taught me to build up these things that I can teach my kids and instill in them and show up for them. And always be a listening ear and have them never feel alone or wondering how I feel about them, and never to put anything outside of God and my spouse before those kids. So it was very powerful to me, the lessons that I did learn. And I will say I'm thankful that I did learn that, because there's other people that go the other way, where they go right in that same direction because it's in them and they don't have those boundaries set up. So yeah, I always say, once again, it was a blessing in disguise. As parents, we do the best we can do, but I'm going to do the best that I know to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Agreed. Justin, why is what happened to you important to who you are today?
Man, I became how to be the best father ever because of what I went through. And it's the reason why I have so many children, because I swore I would never allow my children to go through anything I ever went through. Now, not trying to stay too long on here, but I'm gonna just tell you, in my childhood, I was poisoned by the time I was 4 by my stepfather. Okay, I was beaten, I was battered, I was abused, everything. Like, my childhood was crap, like I said. But I would never say I want to change it, because it made me, yeah, I'm crazy. I'm crazy as hell. It made me crazy, yes. But I am a great man. Like, I take care of my business. So I'm not what I could have been. And I thank the Lord for that.
Yes, yeah.
But I am an amazing freaking father. And I know it only comes from my pain. So, yeah.
Thank God for that. Thank God for that. Okay. Thank y'all so much. We're gearing up to go watch episode number 14, which is titled Patience is My Virtue. Okay, it is dropping at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on my YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed, please go over. It's the link in my bio. Go on over there, Life Be Lifing with Portia O. And watch this episode. If you can't watch it today, watch it at some point, okay? Help your girl reach her watch goals, okay? And also come in and receive something. And I appreciate you guys for your support. Thank you so much, Mr. Reese. Thank you, James. Thank you, Sky, for stating that this topic is good. And I meant to mention earlier, Goodfella asked, was this me singing? This is my song that I created. I wrote it. My friend produced it, and I sang on it, all the things. Yes, it's my theme song. An extended version is coming at some point this year by God's grace. Anywho, thank y'all so much for everything. This is the last question before we get out of here. Um, Tam, how often did you blame yourself for your circumstances? I know that may sound weird to some, but I ask these questions because these are questions that I've asked myself, and I know I'm not alone in these thoughts. So if you didn't think that, that's fine. But, just asking thought provoking questions.
I don't know if I ever blame myself for,
Mm-hmm.
my father not being there or any of that. But
Mm-hmm.
whenever things didn't go the way my mom wanted them to go, as far as like my responsibilities for the house and for the children, of course, you felt guilty. And even if you didn't feel guilty, you was going to be punished. So I think that's a burden more so than a blame that I carried. I hope that made sense.
Yes, that makes complete sense for sure. Jen, how about you? How often did you blame yourself, if ever?
But Sam, that actually makes total sense to me because I agree with that. I don't know that I ever did. I mean, I was old enough that I needed my mom, but at the same time old enough to know, like, I knew what she was doing was like, I don't want to say out of character. Well, it was out of character, but I always just felt like, you made these choices. Like I said, I just wanted to understand why you made these choices. Like, help me understand that part. I
Yeah.
never though blamed myself. Yeah, I agree with Tam. It was probably saying it's more of a burden than a blame. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah. Sky, how about you?
I never blame myself.
You what?
I never blame myself.
You never
Mm-mm.
blamed yourself. Okay.
Mm-mm. No. I knew she had a issue and a problem. I felt sad for her, but I never blamed it like, oh, this is my fault. Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm. Justin, how about you? Did you ever blame yourself, or how often?
Every single day. Um, I'm just short little story. I just told y'all about my what happened to my father. And I told y'all that because of it, after I found out, I realized why things were the way they were. Now, my mother did not treat me like my brothers and sisters, my siblings, because I had a different dad. And because my father died on the way to the hospital to see me being born, she always blamed me for that.
Mm,
And I was treated differently from my siblings. So I always blame myself. I blame myself from day one. I blame myself when my stepfather tried to kill me. I blame myself when other things happened. I blame myself my whole entire childhood. It took me until I was 17 to understand that it wasn't my fault. None of it. But it did take a while. It took a lot of therapy and a lot of anger management.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm the type of personality that internalize a lot of things, and so um a lot of stuff that happened to me or around me, and I felt at fault a lot of times. And so even to the point, I blame myself for my father not being around. Like, he didn't want kids. He didn't want the responsibility. He was the oldest of his siblings, and he pretty much raised his siblings, you know, with my grandparents. My grandparents weren't who my grandparents were when I came around. When I came around, they were settled. But before, when my father was around, him being the oldest, like, they were a hot mess. The people I knew and loved was not the people that my dad knew and loved. So but I internalized a lot. I felt unwanted. I felt like, it was something I wasn't doing, that he didn't want to be around me. He didn't want to spend time with me like that. But that was no further than the truth. But at that time, as a kid, that's how I felt. I blamed myself for him not being there, you know? And I tried to be the perfect little girl so that I could gain his attention and his love and affection like I wanted it to happen. And it didn't. And that was all the way up into my adulthood. Like, me and my father just came to a resolve like the last 2-3 years, maybe 3-4 years, maybe. So it was even affecting me within my marriage, and like it was still affecting me, little things that would happen. And I'd be like, why he just can't show up for me? Why he just can't be present? And he questions why I'm so close with my mom. Well, my mom has been the constant parent. She's been here. She's spent time with me. She's, poured into me. That's why I'm so close with her. Why are you expecting that same type of interaction when you have done nothing to water it, But yeah, I blame myself a lot. So, yeah. 'Tis his life. Let me see. But yeah, just good fella. I'm sorry. Yes, go forward.
I just have a quick question.
Hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Justin, this question is for you. If you were to meet a young man today, whether he's an adolescent or a teenager who's going through the same thing that you might have went through, what advice do you give him to make him get through the days to make it to tomorrow?
I honestly got to say, I wish my life on no man, nobody ever. Like when I tell you I went through some things, and to find anyone who have been through the things that I've been through as a child, all I can do is pray for them. And because I wouldn't even, I didn't know what to say to myself. Like I said, I blamed myself for pretty much everything until I was 17. You understand, I was physically, emotionally, and everything abused. My mom, she pretty much disliked me to the point where she let everyone pick on me. My brother was my biggest bully. He taught his friends how to beat me up. I've had it so bad as a child that meeting a young person at this point and they're going through the same things, I would try to help them. I would try to get them out of that household. That's pretty much it. I'm taking them because that's the reason. Like I said, I've taken care of children all my life, not even just my own. When I was younger, I used to do big brother, big sister, and everything because I couldn't stick. I've tried to end people's lives over children. That lets you know how damaged I was.
Mm.
So I can't tell you, man. If I have a testimony, I don't mind telling my story. If you ever want to hear it, I don't mind telling it. And my testimony is just ridiculous, bro. You would be like, nah, this can't be. But I was telling somebody the other day, and by the time I got to the age 8, they were like, "What? You're only 8 now?" I'm like, "Yeah, this all happened before I was even 8 years old."
This is what I'll do. One day,
like, it's crazy,
one day
man.
We'll get together and I would love to hear your story, and we'll hook up. So I know Tam and them got to go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I don't mind.
Yeah,
I've spoken about it. Matter of fact, when the day I said I was back in the past, I was writing a book. I really was, and it was about my life because my life is freaking ridiculous. Like y'all sit here and y'all think I be playing about some of the shit I be telling y'all a lot of times. I will say this. I have fabricated before some of the stories, but most of it, that shit is true. Like I've been through some shit.
I could believe it. I could believe it. We all have stories. We all have stories. So, yes, we can definitely talk about it. And I wish we had more time tonight to delve in a little deeper. But I do have my episode premiering again on YouTube, talking about patience, and what I have discovered about myself, previously and currently with my patients. So, yeah, if you are figuring that out for yourself as well, please come on into the room and let's talk about it. So I appreciate each and every one of you coming up in the box and sharing your stories. I am grateful that I have this platform that can, put a little more positivity into the world and some healing and bring some light to some things that we kind of shy away from talking about, right? And it doesn't have to always be, sad and depressing. There is joy in the morning, okay? We make it to another day. God still has us here to even tell these stories and hopefully help the next person. For those who may have been in the room and listening, I hope that it helps somebody in whatever. I'm just super extremely grateful to be able to have these moments with you all. And yeah, I thank you guys for supporting Life Be Life and podcast. Thank y'all for the 10,000 likes. Shout out to y'all. Period. I appreciate you. And as I always do before I leave, hey, Black King of Skits, thank you so much for joining. Leave you with my Speak Life affirmation. And today's Speak Life affirmation is, I am allowed all the time I need to recover emotionally. Again, today's Speak Life affirmation is, I am allowed all the time I need to recover emotionally. You heard it, you say it, you write it down, and remind yourself to speak that thing and make it happen, because life be life and that's all. I love y'all. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye. What? Sky? Bye, y'all.